This program on investing under regulation crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show. I'm your host today, Devin Thorpe, and I am really excited to have a very interesting guest. Jasmine Graham of Mid-Hudson Energy is here today, and this is a nonprofit that is doing some really innovative things with facilitating the transition to clean energy. You don't want to miss this, so stick around. Jasmine, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're thrilled to have you and grateful that you'd make time for us. Uh, Jasmine, give us a quick overview, if you would, of Mid Hudson Energy.
Yeah, so Mid-Hudson Energy Transition, we're a nonprofit. We're based in Kingston, New York, which is in the Mid-Hudson Valley, about 2 hours north of New York City, an hour south of Albany, for folks who know New York. And we are focused on empowering communities to own and share renewable energy, create healthier buildings, and join in community wealth building to strengthen the resilience of the Hudson Valley in the face of climate change.
It really is important, vitally important work. You've got a variety of programs, and one I think you call it the CCA program. Tell us about that one. That's kind of a cool thing. It seems like a really low. What am I trying to say? It's easy for the participants to get better, more clean energy, right? Tell us about CCA.
Yeah, so CCA stands for Community Choice Aggregation, and it's a type of program that really gained a lot of traction in California initially because of its ability to bulk purchase renewable energy for municipalities. And actually, a little bit about my history is when I got started in the clean energy sector, I managed the CCA program that was the pilot program for New York State. So the success of that program allowed it to be opened up to others. And essentially, what it allows you to do, and I call it like the Costco of energy purchasing, you're able to have a CCA administrator act as an intermediary with energy supply companies, and you're able to say, "Hey, listen, we have 100,000 customers. What's the best rate that we can get for renewable energy?" And so it allows you to basically source really competitive electricity rates for residents and small businesses and communities.
And it's painless for your folks to opt out, right? If someone wants old, dirty energy from fossil fuels, they can have it, right?
Yeah, so the defining feature of CCAs are that they are opt out, meaning when a municipality launches this type of program, everyone in the community will be notified that they will be enrolled. But if they don't want to be in it, they opt out. And so right now, our CCA program is actually, it's been in development with the city of Kingston, and the Public Service Commission is the regulatory body that oversees CCAs here in New York State. And so the PSC, as we call them, is we're waiting on them to get our administrator approval. And so one of the exciting things that we've done until we've been able to fully launch our CCA is the inclusion of community solar programs. And so these types of programs allow people to, instead of put solar on your own roof, you can subscribe to another project and get a guaranteed discount on your electricity bill. So it's a way to support local renewable energy while also making your energy costs more affordable. And right now we have a program called Mid-Hudson Community Solar, where we're subscribing anyone with a lower income who's on any type of government assistance program, and they get a 20% discount on their electricity bill, or up to 20%, depending on how much solar there is in any given month. But this is a huge, huge opportunity for people to have more energy affordability at a time when electricity bills are really skyrocketing.
That really is cool. And are they? They're not putting any money into it, right? It's not like they're buying solar panels and then saving money like the rest of us. They just get savings, right?
Correct. No cost
Very
to
cool.
join, no cost to leave, and the savings continue for 20 years. So where
Wow,
else can you lock in up to 20% discount for 20 years?
that's amazing.
Pretty much nowhere.
Yeah. Now, I was also really excited by your hug program. Tell us about the hug program. I Everybody needs a hug, but tell
Yeah.
us about your hug program. I don't think it's hugs.
Yes, and we love the acronym Home Upgrade Grants. So our HUG program actually we provide, and this is why we call it HUG. We provide wraparound technical assistance to low income and middle income folks to manage energy efficiency and building decarbonization projects in their homes. So for us, what we've become acutely aware of is the fact that there are a lot of federal incentives for clean energy. There's something called the Inflation Reduction Act or the IRA that is giving out a lot of rebates for people to actually pursue energy efficiency and electrification in their own homes, installing things like induction stoves or heat pumps. But there's a lot of people who have deferred maintenance, structural issues, health and safety issues that need to be addressed before they can ever begin to pursue electrification. So, what we do is we take interest from folks, we help them apply to state and utility incentives, and we actually stack our own grant money, our own home upgrade grants or hugs, on top of that to really address things like lead, mold, asbestos, and as I said, structural issues and deferred maintenance. Because for us, we want to make sure that low income folks, that communities of color are not left behind in the clean energy transition. And so that really requires targeted financial assistance as well as our project management assistance to make sure that folks have the financial resources and, of course, the time and expertise to make this happen.
Yeah, a lot of the housing in your community is kind of old, and I've lived in an old home, and it is just shocking how much money an old home wants. Right, every
Yes.
day, what you wake up in the morning and the house says, "Okay, today I need some new roofing, and tomorrow, hey, never know." Right, so this seems like a really important program for your community.
Absolutely. And in Kingston, more than half of the buildings were built before 1939. So, very old. And the Kingston was actually the first capital of New York State. So we have buildings from the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. And the need is really large, but it's also really representative of many kind of older cities across the US. So we really do hope that what we're learning about how to stack incentives, how to bring in different pots of money, how to really more rapidly decarbonize are things that we hope to share with other nonprofits so that they're able to do this in their community as well.
It really is, I think, a cool thing. Let's step back here for just a minute and put a little bit more context around this. How did you get started with this? I think this was your idea, right? Am I right that you kind of organized this?
Well, I was actually on the board of directors of Mid-Hudson Energy Transition before I was brought on as our first permanent executive director. And really, a few of our board members, Susan Gillespie is our president of the board, Simon Strauss, Joel Herm, they kind of came together and were really excited about this CCA concept. And because I had program managed the first and largest CCA in New York State, I was a pretty good candidate for the board. At that time, I was working at an organization called We Act for Environmental Justice, and I had moved on to doing energy justice policy in the city and the state. But I was also appointed to a New York City advisory board where we were providing recommendations for Local Law 97, which is the most ambitious building decarbonization legislation in the country. And so I had this unique skill set that brought together electricity purchasing and building decarbonization, along with I'm also in school part-time getting my MBA in sustainability from Bard. So there's cool economic things happening as well. And so the story is funny. I like to tell it because I came back from a vacation. My partner and I came back from Mexico, and we had a meeting of the board of directors. And my fellow board members said, "Hey, Jasmine, we've been searching for this executive director. And, we want it to be you. We think you're the perfect person for the job." And I had a job. And so I had to make a decision. Do I want to run a startup nonprofit? We were founded in 2021 by the board, but we didn't get our first full-time staff until January of last year. And now we're up to 9 full-time staff, 3 incredibly ambitious programs, and we haven't even talked about the help fund yet. And I think that is the one that maybe the viewers are the most interested in, because it's very, very unique crowdfunding, or it's actually not a crowdfunding mechanism, but it allows everyday people to invest in their local renewable energy transition. And so, I look back and I say, thank goodness I kind of took the leap of faith to lead this organization, because it has been so fulfilling, so impactful, and really has married not just my areas of expertise, but also my passions.
Yeah. So tell us more about this HELP program.
Yeah, so HELP stands for Home Energy Loan Program. And basically what we heard from the community when I joined, I went on a listening tour. So I met with organizations all across Kingston to really find out what are the problems that are most affecting Kingston's residents, and particularly the lower income residents in Kingston. And we heard, I don't have the time to pursue building decarbonization, I don't have the expertise, and I don't have the money. And so we said, okay, well, what if we project manage these for you, right? It'll help free up time and expertise. And they said, well, we still don't have the money. So we said, okay, what about these home upgrade grants? But the need is so large. And you mentioned one of the biggest cost burdens that old homes bring, which is the roof, right? And so we realized we actually need some other kind of financing mechanism for these like much larger capital projects that are needed to pursue electrification and actually meet our climate goals. So we actually created a separate nonprofit organization, and we are calling it the Help Fund, because we're raising capital that will eventually be loaned out in this home energy loan program. And the way that we structured it is we created an offering that allows accredited investors. So, that is your more typical impact investor or angel investor. Folks might have heard those terms, but also non-accredited investors. And these are more so everyday people, folks that don't have, $1 million in assets, which is one of the things that could qualify you to be accredited. And we knew that we wanted to be able to allow folks to join in and invest, right? This clean energy transition is happening, but right now it's not very accessible to everybody. And we could have a completely renewable system that is still in the hands of a few people. So for us, designing this help fund allowed us to marry, the accredited investors, the non-accredited investors, to raise capital for this really impactful cause.
This is really cool. And I think one of the things that I really loved about this was that you actually offer higher interest rates to the smaller investors, which is a recognition of the reality. A small investor can't afford to allocate capital that doesn't deliver a return, where, at least in theory, those who are more affluent can afford to defer some return on some of their capital to have a social impact. Very, very cool. How did you decide to do that? It's an interesting structure.
Yeah, we looked at other funds. One of them notably is the Ujima Fund in Boston, and they follow a similar structure there. For us, we also wanted to recognize that those same, community investors also are taking more risk, right? And so not only did we structure it where they get a 4% return, so any community investor purchasing a community note gets a 4% return, impact investors get a 3% return, and then mission investors like philanthropy would have a 0% return, but a huge social and environmental impact. But in addition to that, those community investors are also the first people to get paid back. So we structured it where philanthropy takes the most risk, large institutions take the greatest risk, and if there are defaults or anything of that nature, community investors always get paid back first. So really focusing on how do we make this accessible and fair, while also, putting in kind of consumer protections to make sure that, nobody is taking too great of a risk with their capital. We were able to do this because of two things. One, we have an interest rate buy down from philanthropy. So I didn't quite give you one of the best parts of this, which is we are loaning out this money to folks at 2% interest. And so people will say, well, how are you lending out and giving out 2% interest loans for people to do this work, but community investors can get a 4% return? Well, we have a philanthropic institution that has given us money to cover that other 2%. So the philanthropic interest rate buy down allows us to keep the costs really low and provide that greater return for community investors. And then the other piece is a loan loss reserve, and we're working with our state energy agency, NYSERDA, to finalize a loan loss reserve that would actually be able to give us 500,000 or even up to $1 million of loan losses. And what they do is for all of the LMI or the low income folks that potentially default on their loans, they cover 90% of that
Wow.
loan loss plus interest from default to maturity. So that one's not finalized yet, but those are, really good examples of how you can partner with, agencies and philanthropy and kind of create an ecosystem that works for
That's
everyone.
fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Jasmine, we got to take a quick break here, but I love what you're doing, and thank you for taking the time to share it with us. Listen, everyone, we're here with Jasmine Graham. She is the executive director of the Mid-Hudson Energy Transition, and it's an amazing nonprofit. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk to Jasmine about her superpower. You don't want to miss this.
Download a free copy of How to Make Money with Impact Crowdfunding, the book Sarah Hanks describes as
a fantastic overview, not just of crowdfunding investing, but of investing in general.
Andrew Savikas raved,
"This book offers unparalleled insights for anyone looking to make a difference."
Scan the QR code to get your copy.
Ready to take your small business to the next level? Honeycomb Credit empowers diverse entrepreneurs by connecting you with community-driven funding. Build customer relationships, amplify your brand, and grow with those who believe in you. Honeycomb Credit, where your community invests in you.
Scan the QR code to start today.
Join the Impact Crowdfunding movement. Get Superpowers for Good, your free daily newsletter with exclusive video replays, a podcast, and the latest investment opportunities open to everyone. Join the super crowd. Scan now so you can learn to make money while you make a difference.
Welcome back, everyone. This has been just such an exciting conversation we're having today with Jasmine Graham, the executive director of the Mid-Hudson Energy Transition nonprofit. It's just a fabulous organization. But we're going to shift gears now and talk to Jasmine about her superpower. You don't want to miss this. Stick around. Jasmine, I just love what you're doing, and I'm so impressed by your leadership, your capability. I'm genuinely jealous of your ability to accomplish so much, do such cool things, and frankly, at such a young age. I'm impressed, and like I said, a little jealous. What's your superpower?
My superpower is my empathy. More than anything else, I feel deeply, and it drives all of the work that I do. I mean, I can put myself in someone else's shoes and very easily connect with others, but also really recognize this person needs my help and I have to do something about it. Like that drives me, that pulls me to the work that I do. I always say, I love, I care deeply. I really think that my empathy and probably my vulnerability are the two superpowers that propel all of the work that I do.
That empathy is such a powerful thing, but it can be challenging to learn. Can you tell us, maybe give us a an example of a specific time where you really felt like you were able to deploy your empathy to help solve a situation or accomplish something you're proud of accomplishing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think it comes up all the time, like just in how I run this organization, for example. We are a tight knit staff. We're very lucky that we all kind of communicate well together. But we had the election just a few days ago, and for us, it was a little gut wrenching, right? As climate activists, as people that care deeply about so many different marginalized populations. And so coming to this work with kindness and with compassion and being able to say, hey, we didn't get the outcome that we want, but the work doesn't stop. Being able to really see and feel how other people are feeling and adjust. We had an all staff planning day, and it was like, we gotta take care of ourselves and do what we need to. And so I think that, across the board, it really shows up a lot in my leadership.
Yeah, it sure does. I think all of us want to have more empathy, right?
Mm,
It's a difficult thing. It's a challenge.
yeah.
It's hard to always be putting yourself in someone else's shoes and understanding how they feel. It's some work. It can be taxing. How can you give us some quick tips on how we can be a little more empathetic to other people?
I think for me, it starts with having conversations with others. I think that a lot of what I've learned about empathy and about relating to others starts with getting to know other people and getting to know people that are maybe not like you. I think it's really easy for us to be in our kind of bubbles, but when you take the time to actually learn about someone else or another culture or, really an issue area that you didn't initially maybe gravitate toward, you start to realize the humanity in everyone. And I think that we get to a place oftentimes where, especially in politicized environments or in our particular issue areas, where we forget that, like, we are all just human and doing the best that we possibly can. And that everyone has different circumstances that brought them to where they are today. Right. And so oftentimes when people have a different point of view, it is the result of having a very different upbringing or a very different education. And so when you're able to just have real conversations and exercise that vulnerability on an interpersonal level, I think that it leads to a greater amount of empathy. And like anything else, it's a muscle. You've got to build it.
Yeah, as we think a little bit about your great work, we have just a minute here to just kind of pause for a second and meet your dog. I think your dog is right there. What's your dog's name?
My dog's name is Zero. Zero, come say hi. Zero,
Yeah, let's see if
dance.
we can meet your dog.
Yes.
There we go. Oh my gosh, he's huge.
He's a
He's
really big
huge.
dog. I
Oh
was
my
I
gosh.
taught him how to dance so he knows how to stand up on his hind legs. And all of my staff know him. This is the reality of working from home, is that your family is very present, and he is certainly my family. So this is
Yeah,
Zero.
he looks like I think he loves you. Is that
He
true?
does love me very much. He loves
Yeah.
me
So
because I give him.
I imagine you love him back. So that's great. Well, listen, here as we wrap up, I wonder if you'd take a minute and tell everyone how they can learn more about Mid-Hudson Energy Transition and, importantly, share how people can invest in the HELP program. That seems like a really key message. Make sure that everyone knows how to do that.
Yeah, so you can learn more about us at our website, mid-hudson.energy, but you can specifically learn more about the Help Fund at investinhelp.org. And, we are really responsive when it comes to emails. You can email invest@mid-hudson.energy if you have any questions, if you want to meet with me or our fund director. But really and truly, we're on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Mid-Hudson Energy, and we're particularly active on LinkedIn if you'd like to give us a follow. But please do stay in touch. We're always learning from other organizations and other people that are doing this, and we also hope to share our learnings with others. So yeah, please do stay in touch.
Fantastic. And I should note today, as we stream this, is Giving Tuesday. So it's a good day to give to Mid-Hudson Energy Transition, a nonprofit, right? So,
Yes. Yeah. Tax season is coming around the corner and you want to get those end of year donations in. We're happy to accept them. And I promise that it goes to good work. So mid-hudson.energy,
all
and we've
righty.
got a donate button right in the corner.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you so much for being here. We wish you every success in the great work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Devin. It's been great to be here.
All righty. Now let's do some good.